Hello, accounts people. Time to get back up and running on Sage. So a quick recap, creating a new company, then I'm going to restore one from backup. I'm not going to waste time entering addresses of company suppliers, that's just a waste of time. And then using this quick version, I'm going to go through all the main tasks that come up in the exam and any practice papers. Reports as per the current version, even though I'm actually using an old paper that had a different list. And because I'm using this ready-made version, a lot of the transactions I've already posted to save showing you how to do an invoice several times. That means the opening balance is some already there. Well, you'll see that happening. And the initial trial balance, if I did produce one, wouldn't be the same. The trial balance would look like this. You'll be given this format in the exam. It won't have the totals on there, but it's worth totaling it up just to make sure that your version's correct, and you get a chance to write down all the nominal codes for all the accounts you're going to use. So these haven't got balances, they're the ones we're going to use in the rest of the exercise, and that saves a lot of time later. A lot of flapping can happen. So on with Sage. Let's open a new company. Set up a new company. Moortown Builders, and I've got my caps on. But no, I haven't. I'm going to waste time with the address. It's a sole trader. We know that because one of the items in the initial trial balance, one of the ones I've already done, is the capital account. And everything will be in the month of May for this exercise. Yes, it's VAT. Gotta give it a number. Doesn't like it without a number. And we can create it. So not much more to do. Don't need to customize it, but we do need to change the program date. We need to change it as per the instructions to the 1st of May, not the 1st, the 31st of May. That means if I forget to change the date on any transaction to the one during the month, it'll still appear in the bank rec, it'll still appear in the trial balance, but it will be a lost mark. So I've already set up a couple of the customers, and they are on one I've already done. So this is restoring from a backup. Open the company data. I've got to add the company. It's on a backup file. Where is it? Well, actually, it's on a folder on my desktop. This is the one. Hadn't got as far as the standing orders, so nothing's coming up telling me to do the transaction for that or the processing. So now this is the partly completed Moortown. You can see a couple of customers already there. I'm just going to put one customer in and move on from there. So I'm going to use a wizard. Wizard means you're less likely to make a mistake, and I've got to put in tie and partners. This bit that you can't change, so either live with it or set it up again. Not going to waste time with the address. In fact, very little else. In a real company, you would use a lot more items here. That's annoying if you get to all opening balances on the 1st, and we want 30 days. There's no credit limit on this exercise. A lot of these details can be changed afterwards if you make a mistake. One value will do because it's the 1st of the month, and time partners owed us on the 1st day of the month. So now we've got our 3 customers set up. Suppliers, similar system. I've missed out one I've not done. And again, watch out for if you go backwards as well, because you suddenly realise you spelt Davies wrong or something like that, it will change the code when you come back to it. See that a lot of times. Again, we're not going to put in too much details, terms agreed. These are all UK standard 30 days. everything on the first. And we could do individual transactions, wouldn't really make much difference. If we forgot to do it, we can go back, we can click opening balance as well, a bit of exam nerves. And the amount we owed them was that's not working, not sure why. 290.35, hadn't quite highlighted it right. So our tabbing is better. So there's our 3, so that's task 1 and task 2 done. So task 3 will be nominal ledger accounts, the rest of the trial balance. You can see there's already loads done, so I've done half of them. There's a couple that I particularly haven't done. So a sales tax, you can just do the tax liability of the difference, but on this version of Sage it posts to 2,200. The liability is what happens when you create the VAT return. So sales tax or VAT on sales has already got an amount because of the transactions I've posted. It doesn't stop me putting in an opening balance though. Credits, of course. Similar amount to what's already in there by sheer chance. And then the next one is the purchase tax. And again, opening balance. So I put my opening balance in. And next one I'm going to do is this one that it just says loans. So is better in this case. As you click on opening balance, it saves the name first. And we owe them, we've loaned 15,000. If you tab, you don't have to make the mistake of the extra zeros appearing and suddenly 15,000 becomes 1,500,000. Next one to do, because I've skipped a few obvious ones, is a sales type A. Well, in this case it tells us in the company details, sales of new buildings. Again, I posted some invoices, but I still want to do my opening balance. And the next one down, 4001. And 393.56. So I'm filling these in, most of them are done, so only one more to do actually. Materials purchased, occasionally they change the name to goods for resale or something else bought, but it'll always be the 5000 series. Occasionally I see students put in the inventory value or inventory assets there for the end of year adjustments. And of course purchases will be debits. And there we are. So I've done the rest of the items in the trial balance. So at that stage I would have gone on to my trial balance. I would have clicked trial balance and checked it. It would have come up to this amount. It won't because I've already posted some transactions from later to save time. So now, again, I've done a few quick items just to save time. So I'm only going to do one invoice. It's a batch invoice, and the one I've got to do is for Thai, and it's got a date. It's got an invoice number, and it was building repairs, so that one's 4001. And put the net in, and just check the VAT comes out correct. It will, of course. So that's our invoice, and then I've got one credit note to do, which is for Beniki, and that one's got a date. Credit note number 268, and it's for new buildings 4000, and it's for 511.65 net. Again, it will work out the VAT for it. Just check. If you had to manually overtype the VAT, it can be. But if it says on the credit note 102.33, even if you work it out slightly differently, that's the value you put in. So that's task 4 done. So now we've got some supplier bits and pieces to do. The one we just created, of course, so batch invoice. And the date for this one. Well into the future there. And 1916. And this was actually, it is materials purchase, so it's 5000. And 15. Make sure obviously invoices from suppliers are more varied. Your format is your format, so you get used to that one. Check the VAT, that's correct. Can do more than one if you've got a list of them, but I've processed the other one for the hire of equipment. And now we've got a credit note to do. Also, credit note number 599, and again it's materials, so yeah, what's the VAT? That's fine. And we're up to task 6. So task 6, just a couple of receipts now. So these are receipts from credit customers. You can do it from customers now. On some versions you can actually do the customer receipt, or you can do it from the bank account customer receipt. Either way works. So the one I'm going to do is from Thai. There's only one Thai. The date is don't type the amount in there. I want to make sure it's the balance outstanding. It will come up there now. Any references, I suppose, no harm. And that means they only owe for the later invoice. We need to make sure that any receipts are tied up with the invoices, so we're not chasing customers for invoices that they've already paid us for. So next one then, so now we're going to make some suppliers. So again, we could use on some versions we can do supplier payment. Sometimes you go into the bank supplier payment. Always only used to be via the bank. Where's the supplier payment? So it's on there, so supplier payment. Same window comes up either way. And first of all, we're going to pay Everson, and we're going to pay them on the 18th, and it's a check number. It's got a number there, and we're just paying them on account, so we owed them more than we were actually paying them. So sometimes we want to make it as a part payment, in which case we would type it in here. This one says payment on account, so payment on accounts are often returned. So there, here, have a check in case I can't pay you by a certain date, and then you've got the check or you've got something else. So in this case, I'm only typing in here, I'm not allocating it to the invoice. Yes, there's a payment on account because that's what I was told to do. So now I'm also going to pay Davis and Dodd some money, and this will be the next check. No surprise. And it says opening balance and the credit notes. Again, don't type the amount in the box. It's the credit note is being paid in full, minus of course, and the opening balance. And that should come to the amount that they're paying, or we paying rather. If we need to print off a statement or remittance advice, because of course lots of things get paid off electronically, so you need to make sure your supplier knows that you've actually paid them. So look through your list of transactions, familiarise yourself with the reports and statements that we get sent. So if I go to supplier, that's where on this version my payment should be. Actually, it's missing off this version for some reason. On here, most versions actually have a remittance advice. So, Davis and Dodd. No, it's not there actually. That's interesting. Okay, this version hasn't got remittance advices on here. Not very helpful if it comes up in the exam. Hopefully it won't come up in the exam. So task 6 done and task 7 done, so we're well on our way. Task 8 then, so we wanted some slightly more items that all go through the bank account. So what we've actually done, we've bought a motor van. So a big amount of money, that's what the loan was for then presumably. So that is just a straightforward bank payment. There's no account coming out of that bank account, and then we are paying. So the date we need, reference we haven't, well we've got 278 as a receipt number, that will do. Nominal code then, motor vehicles, one of which we should have already looked that one up and written it down. Just watch out though, this one famously, because lots of students got into a mess on this when it used to be an exam paper, is actually, including VAT, 15,120, but actually I need to calculate net. I need to blow it up. Where's the calculate net? Button. Oh, okay, there it is. So lots of students used to forget that one, then it didn't add up right in the bank rec. So very awkward, very difficult one to see that one. Some versions, some payments and receipts it's F3 and sometimes it's F9 because that says including VAT. Should really probably put a bit more detail in, but and then the owner's putting some money in, so it's not a bank payment. Again, often misread. So the owner is putting in on the 12th of May, reference. It's just him saying we're doing it. So capital introduced, one of the ones we'd have looked up earlier. And this one, no VAT. So technically speaking, outside the scope of that, so T9 is the best code for that. Not a disaster if you put T0 or T2 in. Then we've got the recurring items. So again, a common error. We're going to add in a an item. Notice this one is payment. You can of course do receipts. It's coming out of our main bank account. It should only really be that one. And this one is for motor insurance. So again, we looked up what it was earlier. Motor vehicle. Where was it? Vehicle insurance has got its own code. And it's going to happen every month. For 3 payments. Starting on the 5th of May, and then the amount will be 325. Again, one that students occasionally used to make a mistake on because it's T0. Okay, or T2 will do fine. That's correct. It says setting up the recurring entry. So students, again, read the instruction carefully about printing the screenshot. So a quick alt print screen. I've already got a Word document open. So, because that'll be one of your pieces of evidence, as opposed to printing it after you've made the first payment. Or no harm in doing both. So I'll set that one up. Okay. Now, had I forgotten to do that, if I click on edit, it comes back up. But now I'm going to process the first one. It should only be one that comes up. If you haven't set the dates right, you may see a list of them. There's only one there to post, and I posted the first one. Now that's occasionally missed out by students, and then they get to the bank rec and realise they've forgotten to process it. So up to task 10, getting there, bank accounts. So we're now into petty cash. So the first thing we're going to do is restore the petty cash. So we're just going to do a bank transfer from 1200. We're just going to top it up, and it's given us a date, 1st of the month. It knows there's no VAT involved, it knows what it is. So £63.58. That's a nice easy one to do. But having done that, a lot of students then notice the petty cash has gone up to there, forget when they do the petty cash payments and they appear in the bank account. So we're just going to do 2 quick payments. You can do the 2 of them together. Make sure it's on 12:30. First one, we've got a date of the 6th. Reference petty cash voucher 212. Nominal code, this is motor fuel. Where we got vehicle fuel, perfect. And including VAT. So I need to calculate net. Again, common error, not clicking that. You can change it and edit it later. So the other one then, the next voucher, nominal code. Well, it's a window cleaner. Always causes problems, this one. Oh, 7. Okay, let's have a look. It's kind of premises, water rates. It's none of those really. It's definitely nothing to do with vehicles, scaling, stationery. You could spend ages if you go and look into this one. There is one somewhere. Okay, let's have a look. There's one called repairs and renewals. I looked it up earlier. I've put the number in our trial balance. General rates, general stuff. So this is what you don't want to be doing in the exam, is having to mess about. Which is why it's always a good idea to look up in advance what you're going to use. There we are, repairs and renewals. Knew it was there. As it's a window cleaner, £15 petty cash, T0. And that's our petty cash done. So we've done 8, that's task 10. We have 2 tasks left. So I'm going to do these in pretty much in full because they're problem tasks. Make sure click back onto bank account, although actually won't matter now. Nominal code, journal entry. So we've all done this one. So we haven't actually we've just got a list sometimes as a reference. And they're all on. So nominal code. So it says loan from bank. That's the bank loan. It knows it's T9. And then the bank. So we basically paid some money off our bank loan. And then we've made an error. Should put some more description in really. Because we've just got something on the wrong nominal code. 5. And of course it won't allow you to post unless it balances off details then. So it all counts towards your marks. There we are, now we can save it. So 2 tasks left really, so one of which is the one that matters, because if it works out right, you know you've posted enough items correctly to pass, and then it's just a matter of getting the reports off to AAT to prove that you've done it correctly. So the bank reconciliation, okay, what goes wrong on here? Well, students put in the wrong balance occasionally and then wonder why they've got a difference. So the one on the bottom, the closing balance, and the date is fine on this one. So what have we got? Okay, we've actually got bank charge. It tells you to put the bank charges, but there's nothing earned. And that is actually mean. And bank charges are an expense. We looked it up actually, it's on the spreadsheet again. I could go back. I don't really want to go through this. So bank charges has its own account. Bank interest received doesn't, so it has to go down as usually as 4,900. There we are, bank charges as opposed to paid, and it knows because it's a bank charge not to put it with any VAT. So now just match up as we go along. That one's okay. That one's okay. That one's okay. Then I'm looking for 1892, 2000, 5002, 5, 4, 6.88, which is something's gone wrong there. And there's a receipt from JC Hughes that isn't sitting there. So I need to work out why that 254688 isn't there. I must have missed it off somewhere. So some items you can adjust. A simple receipt, if I could actually process it if I was sure I hadn't processed it, but it's better just to be safe. So save progress, no panic, means I haven't got to start again, putting in everything. Go onto my list of transactions. So what happened with this 2,546 purchase payment sales receipt from Ty JC Hughes? Go through my notes, look at what I've ticked. So panic, because we're coming to the end of the exam. Go back. Okay, so why was the 2546 not entered? I don't actually know why, because I haven't left it to be done. But it happens, and the key is not to panic. Know what happened. I got the receipt from Ty, I just hadn't processed the one. So, customer receipt, let's process it, make sure it's JC Hughes on the date of and it was the invoice, it wasn't even the opening balance. That's strange, but there we are. So we've solved a problem without getting into a complete flap. So using the saved, that one is now there. I can match that one. I've got my difference of 0. So two things, one adjust, possible, if you're confident what you've missed out. Now there will be items that deliberately process to adjust a bank receipt or a bank payment, or save, go out system. That's the key. So now we can reconcile everything, and we're nearly there. All we've got to do is get used to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's not 6 items because one of it's already been done. So we're on to our customers. So because we've reconciled our bank, we've got the difference down to 0. We're fairly confident we've done everything correctly. All I need to do is print off some evidence. So the report, so the one that's always matters is the customer activity report. This is important from the marketing point of view, so we want the detailed version. Now the instruction says all transactions and the balance. Well, actually, one single report will do. It's got the balances and it's got all the transactions with our customers in, including the 254688 that I mysteriously forgot about. So now all I need to do is export it. It's already into the right folder. I don't want that name. I want it says, but I can actually use this for 1B. I think that's my number. I've forgotten it. I don't use it very often. But you would have it in the exam on your entry slip. So there we are. You wouldn't have full quick completion on it though in the exam. And then suppliers. Well, there's one highlighted there, so they've either all got to be highlighted or none highlighted. So a problem avoided there by spotting it. So again, supplier activity. Exactly the same, all transactions and the balance. Well, again, it's got all the transactions and the balances, so we can export it. And this is now saved in my folder, ready for upload. So at that point, a lot of the marks are there, but this is the one that actually matters in terms of marks. On my transactions, I need to do a full audit, detailed audit trail. Okay, what have I done? Audit trail report, detailed run. Train. Ah, no idea why it's got that date in it. Nothing was there. I've no idea what happened then, but we spotted it. No panic, it's done. The detailed version, so all the transactions that have been done from opening balance is not quite in the right order because of the shortcuts, the early postings I did, and export. And now we're getting there. So as you upload them to AAT, if you get part way through, as long as they're in the box, if it times out on you, it will get there. You need to get that far at least to pass. You can't pass without that audit trail report being uploaded. Trial balance, one we should have really checked earlier when we did at the end of task 3. And just make sure it comes up the right month here. Sometimes it's a specific month. Well, yes. It'll always be the end of the month. So again, no suspense account is always a good sign. And then the screenshot the recurring entry, all the relevant input details. Well, that's our Word document, so actually we haven't saved it yet because you might have more one. So this will be saved into the right place. Needs to be closed before you can upload it. It's a Word document, it won't upload whilst it's open, unlike PDF files. Just make sure you close everything for safety's sake. And it says a screenshot of the bank reconciliation screen. Well, actually, did I miss that instruction? Oh, I missed it because it wasn't actually in the instructions of the old paper. You don't need to print a bank reconciliation statement. Okay, well, what I should have done when I got to the point here, and I've got down to my difference of 0. With everything here, I should have done a screenshot. But I've moved from an old paper onto a new one. So that is done. I can close. Not worried about backing it up. And as promised, just a couple of little things. Okay, so the file is here, so it's got a backup in it, which you wouldn't upload a backup to AAT. 1A, they're the evidence, down to there, make sure they've uploaded. Evidence 6 would have been the bank reconciliation. So let's have a look. Reports as to current versions, we've done that already, made other functions. Okay, so the only thing that in theory might appear, no, actually shouldn't have closed Sage. Why is Sage not playing ball? Now it's disappeared. Okay. So go back up, open it up. Is there anything we could have? Well, actually, there's a few little tools and there's customers. Things like write-offs or refunds can come up, or even a contra entry. They're a little tool. Write-off, we could write off a check. If a check bounced on us, we could write off a whole account and it will do it properly for us. But once you're on there, it's fairly easy. So if it wrote off queues, I'm not going to actually, well, I might as well do it. Actually, I've finished. Date, of course, would be sometime in May. Post, that would write off an account. Yes, I'm not going to actually do it. Credit charges, contras, a customer and a supplier, or a refund would be there. So in theory, those might come up in the exams. What else can we tell you to guide you? Well, I mentioned earlier checking the trial balance end of task 3, even though the instructions don't ask you. That's because one of my 2 students have not passed in the last couple of years, made an error on it, and then spent ages trying to find it. Remember to remove opening balances. If you put the wrong date on or you put the wrong amount on, don't try and add a 60p or something to remove and post correctly, then you don't lose marks. And we've just seen the adjust function in the bank rec. It will have to do that. There will be something, there'll be a receipt or a payment to do that way. And obviously also be familiar with the edit and delete function. So let's have a look. In our transactions we have delete functions. I could highlight one and delete it, or I might edit a transaction. Some things you can't turn a receipt into a payment, but you can change a nominal account for the bank if you put something in the petty cash instead of the bank or the credit. You can even change a date. You can go into here and change the VAT amounts if you added VAT when you shouldn't have. So lots of things can be fixed there. It's just making sure that you know what you can do, keeping an eye on time. Have I got time to do it? If not, get the reports off to AAT and just note that you've lost a mark or 2 because you added VAT to the window cleaner or something like that. And obviously make sure we can change addresses and stuff on supplier accounts, and keep an eye open on your time, because everybody who doesn't pass runs out of time rather than ability.